Welcome to the IT Career Energizer podcast. For anyone who wants to build and grow a career in IT, develop and improve your strengths and skills, be inspired and motivated by the successes of others, manage your career progression, and achieve your IT career goals. And now, your host, Phil Burgess.
Welcome to episode 310 of the IT Career Energizer podcast. My guest on today's show is co-host of the podcast, HTML All the Things, and the co-founder of Digital Dynasty Design. So it's my pleasure to welcome to the podcast, Mike Karan.
Hey, glad to be here. Honestly, I'm usually on the other side of the mic, so it's nice to be kind of take this role.
Indeed, yes. So being a guest on other people's podcasts is something I'm not that used to myself. So yes, let's see how you go. Yeah. So Mike, can you give us a bit of an intro? Obviously, that was very brief and obviously tells us about your own podcast and the fact that you're the founder of your company. But can you maybe give us a bit of an insight into your background in tech?
Yeah, absolutely. So how it started out was I went into college for computer engineering technology, and I kind of went through that, tried a bunch of different things. As you know, in college, they're going to throw like everything at you. We did a little bit of HTML and CSS, but mostly we were dealing with embedded systems and embedded processors and like C language. So it was a lot of programming, a lot of hardware design and stuff like that. Right after college, I just stepped into an opportunity essentially that one of my family friends was needing some help with their website, and they were willing to pay. And we're like, my friend and I, who've also finished the same college, were like, hey, maybe we can do something here. Like while we're waiting to get jobs or something like that, let's try to start something and give it a go. And we did, and we eventually got a few more clients, and that's what formed into our web agency, which is Digital Dynasty. Eventually, that led to myself kind of taking on contract roles through that agency. So the last one I was at was a tech lead role at a San Diego-based startup where I was kind of managing a team of developers and working a lot on the front end infrastructure and UI and engineering side of things. So overall, my career in tech has been about 8 years now, mostly focused on the front end UI web development side, but I've also done a plethora of other things across the board, as with any IT career.
Great. Okay, right. We'll come back to it later, I'm sure, in the course of the interview. But can we maybe start with a career tip, one that the audience may not be aware of and perhaps should be?
Yes, actually. So this is something that I had like top of mind over the last little while, because it's something that I wish I did sooner. And it's get yourself out there and network as early as possible. So what that really means is try to establish where your network is. So for everyone, it's going to be different, right? In IT, if you're in like network analytics, you might have a group on Facebook or something like that. But you've got to find where like-minded people are and try to join that and talk to people, try to create content or based around it. So what I'm basically saying is try to build an audience for yourself, because what that'll allow you to do in the future is be able to not have to kind of hope for a job, but be able to choose a job. Because as soon as you have that audience, as soon as you have a lot of people around you that are like-minded and respect your choices, respect your career, respect your resume, essentially, they're going to be reaching out to you to try to get you to switch jobs. And that's going to happen on a pretty consistent basis, as long as you're putting yourself out there. So really, like, that tip I didn't take to heart very early on. I really only started like hardcore networking in the last year, I would say. And maybe just to specify, in the last 4 months on Twitter, I kind of went really, really hard and was able to find my network, find the people that are around me, and really build out my core group of people that are now helping each other, and I'm helping them. They're helping me, kind of thing.
Yeah. So obviously you mentioned Twitter then. Do you use any other platforms?
Really, LinkedIn, Twitter are the only two that are just standing out right now. There's another platform called Showcase that just kind of popped up. It's a LinkedIn competitor that's more only focused on developers. So that one's interesting. It's Showcase with 2 W's. It's got some interesting features. It's got some, like, you can show your code really well in there. and you can show your tech stack, like what technology you work on very specifically. So again, it's targeted towards developers more than anything, but it's kind of interesting to see an entire platform that's targeted towards one audience being used as a way to kind of further your career. So that's why I'm still interested in it. Like I'm usually not one to recommend a new platform, but Showcase seems like an interesting one. But Twitter for sure, if you're a developer, that one is a great platform to meet people. And LinkedIn, obviously, just keep that one up to date.
Yeah, I haven't heard of a Showcase, so I'll need to check that one out. So definitely, yes. Good. Okay. Mike, can you share maybe with us your worst IT career moment and what you learned from that experience?
Yes, absolutely. So this one happened a little while ago, probably like 5 years ago. Essentially, what the situation was, I was tasked in choosing the technology that we're going to be working with for a new application. The application was for an optical retail environment. Doesn't really matter. Let's just like it was just for like helping to sell glasses essentially. And we had a big presentation coming up to a very important client. I chose the tech stack, built it all out. In that tech stack, it was CSS Grid. So this is just for the UI. And when they got to the important client, like when they got like landed on the plane, the CTO and CEO, they opened up my application and it wasn't working on their device. And that's because I chose the tech stack, like a wrong tech stack that didn't work and was too new for the device that we were going to be presenting on. So it was just completely broken. And yeah, that one was like a really bad call to get. And the things that I learned from that are like tons. Obviously, one thing is you have to vet everything. You have to check. You have to make sure that when you're using a newer technology like CSS Grid, now CSS Grid has been around for a little while now, but regardless, if you're choosing a new technology to work with, do some vetting, do more vetting, and make sure that it'll work on the devices that are intended to work on, it's intended to work on. Because again, it was something that I was able to correct pretty quickly, but it was one of those situations where I definitely had to stay up all night and rip everything I did and redo it. And I got some, back and forth conversations with the CEO and CTO.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear. I've heard that from a few people about sort of, looking for latest versions of software and looking for the latest, greatest thing, if you like. But of course, you are limited in terms of obviously the platforms that these new applications and pieces of software might be able to run on. So yeah, thinking about that even before you begin is obviously a sensible thing to do, because obviously you can effectively reduce your potential audience or customer base by not considering that up front.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Mike, can you now perhaps tell us about your career highlights so far?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I was mentioning before, I've been working for the last 3 years or so as a tech lead for a San Diego-based startup. And really what I love about that, and the highlight right now for me, is that I get to lead a team of about 5 developers and a designer. And what I've loved about it is the mentorship aspect, like being able to take a junior designer or junior developer and guide them and help them to create the applications that we're trying to create, and then see them move on to be a better developer and to a different job that fits their role. Because I don't know, for me, I was always kind of siloed. I was working on my own a lot because as a contractor, as a business owner, that's kind of our role, our hat that we wear. And when I got this new role, like a contract through it, and I was able to then take what I learned as a solo developer and apply it to a whole team and learn a ton in the process, obviously. So really, that's what I've been enjoying mostly right now, is interacting with people, is helping people, mentoring. I'm doing another mentorship program called Bridge, where I'm mentoring people that are just getting out of university or college and are kind of like trained, or like they got out of a boot camp. So they have the knowledge and they have the skills, but they need that little extra step to get to the next part of their career, which is like the first job. Like we provide kind of a project that they can work on and a work environment, quote unquote, that they can mimic. And it helps them in their interview process because they've almost kind of already been working during that time. So again, I think the mentorship and guiding is what's been my career highlight so far.
Yes. I mean, obviously people coming out of college have how should we put it, maybe a limited understanding of potentially what a company or a corporate environment might be like. So do you provide that sort of understanding, if you like, of how to work in an environment where you have multiple people with different skill sets and so forth? Is that what you try to do?
Exactly. That's exactly what we try to do. We throw them right into like the agile method. We do all the meetings, like all the scrum meetings, everything. And we do it exactly like you would do it in a corporate environment, and with the awkwardness to it as well. And that's what I try to tell them is like, like this is awkward because people are trying to choose the tasks and people are saying this task is easier, this task is not. And people seem to think that that's like part of the program and not part of real life. And I always try to bring it back and be like, hey, like this awkwardness, this thing that we're doing right now, this, the poker game that we're playing to pick how long the tasks are, that's the actual thing that you will do in a larger corporation, in a larger environment. You will need to have these skills of being able to articulate that you want to do this task or stuff like that. It's not just about coding. It's about the whole structure, the enterprise structure. So yes, 100% we provide that kind of that kind of mentorship.
Great. Okay. And Mike, what excites you about the future of the tech industry and careers in IT?
Absolutely. So this one was tough. I had a couple things written down here, but I'm going to go with new technology. So I mentioned before that my worst IT career moment was choosing a newer technology.
Yeah.
But the ironic thing is that I love that stuff. So that's the number one reason that we actually started the HTML All Things podcast, was because I was like, well, I'm already looking at all this new technology, trying it out. Why don't we take that information that we're getting and convert it into something useful for everyone else? Because as you know, you can't keep up with everything. So what we're trying to provide is a way for people to kind of listen to us for an hour and still be in relevance while working with some older technology, because normal companies aren't going to switch willy-nilly. That's just how it works. So for me, for sure, what excites me is everything that's coming out. Stuff like GitHub Copilot, even though it has some controversy around it, is a fantastic tool that will probably make our jobs easier. New frameworks that come out for web development and mobile development and stuff like that. Just new stuff in general. I'm always kind of keeping my ear to the ground and making sure that I keep up with everything, because that's what interests me really.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point about the fact that you want to keep up with as much as you can, but it's impossible, isn't it? In terms of, you have to pick and choose, because you'll never be able to grasp everything. There's just too much happening, and there's too many options to take.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go into the reveal round now. We're going to find out a little bit more about you and the way you think. You ready for this?
I think so. Let's do it.
So what first attracted you to a career in IT?
I think this one's easy. This one's computers. So I was a kid. I loved computers. So I was like, hey, what can I do with computers?
Yeah. What is the best career advice you've ever received?
That's a good one. So probably keep it simple. Honestly, like I know that that's a key, like, a quiche saying or whatever. Like it's something that people say all the time. But for me, I was always going out there and trying to come up with a complicated solution, but I realized that I can just come up with a simple solution as long as it works. That's what the client, your boss, and everything wants.
Yeah, that is a good point, actually. And you can look at it at the other direction as well. So when you've got a big problem, if you break it down to its simplest components, that's just a different way of looking at a problem, isn't it?
Exactly. Breaking it down and solving each problem at a time. Kind of the Mark Watney approach.
Yes. What is the worst career advice you've ever received?
This one's difficult. I think the worst advice that I've ever received is you have to jump jobs every 3 months to be successful in your field. That was a little bit. It seemed a little bit ridiculous to me. I'm all for taking your services and going somewhere else to get better income, but 3 months just seemed kind of a ridiculous statement.
It does sound very short amount of time. I always get the feeling within an organization, it often takes you 3 months just to get familiar with how things work, and then another 3 months to actually become effective. So that's 6 months before you've even got to a point where you feel as though you're contributing.
I know it just like what's going on here.
Yes, exactly. If you were to begin your career again in today's world, what would you do?
I honestly think I would still be in web development. I am a very big believer that web development is just in its infancy, and it's kind of the Wild West right now for it. Even though it has matured, it has become better. There's just so much that there's still left to be done.
And what career objectives are you currently focusing on?
This is a very pertinent one. So right now I'm focusing on building up an audience, networking, and figuring out where I kind of belong in that audience. So it's still early stages for me there, but I'm also like for an objective, I want to, again, lead a larger team now. I want to take on a new role, and I want to kind of challenge myself a little bit and still be developing, but be able to, mentor and help more people.
What's the number one non-technical skill that has helped you in your career so far?
Probably my speaking skills. So I was always a decent public speaker. I was always the one that would put my hand up to speak first in school. And it was like, I'm nervous. Like I get nervous all the time. I'm nervous right now, even on like recording a podcast, even though I've recorded also like 160 episodes. But I like that kind of feeling. Like I like the butterflies, and I kind of use them to make it more interesting for me and not boring. So I think the public speaking.
Yeah, so obviously, like me, you started a podcast. Has that helped, you feel, in terms of being able to sort of articulate your thoughts and engage with people?
For sure. I think that like you can go back to the first episode probably of your podcast and the 300th episode of your podcast and see how much you can improve. And same with ours. So it helped tremendously. Like when the Zoom call apocalypse happened over the last couple of years, I was ready for it.
Yes, that's very true. Yes. What do you do to keep your own career energized?
So I think the podcast, honestly, like going back to that, I just really like talking tech, and staying on top of things helps me be in the community a little bit more, helps me meet new people and potentially get new opportunities.
And what do you do away from technology?
So, I do quite a bit, actually. I do hiking a lot. My wife and I like to kind of go up to a cottage every once in a while, and I game. I'm just like most other tech people. I play some games here and there as well.
Mike, can you share with us a parting piece of career advice?
Yeah, absolutely. So this one, it's interesting. So my parting piece of career advice would be, don't settle and be in a spot where you're uncomfortable. Get outside your comfort zone, because as soon as you settle in an IT career, it becomes very easy to stagnate in terms of salary, stagnate in terms of knowledge, and lose out on potential future contributions. So try to, like, as soon as you feel like yourself settling, try to step outside, try to see what your boss needs done, try to see what else you can do to optimize, what else you can do to help the company, what else you can do to help yourself, maybe take a course or something like that. I just think it's so important to stay on top of the technology in the IT space, all across the entire IT space, that if you just stop for even like a year, you can become stagnant and lose relevance in the field really quickly, especially in security
Yeah.
as well.
Oh, yeah, very much so. Um, I mean, obviously, picking up from what you just said there as well, I think often if you're in an environment where there are difficult problems to solve, don't be afraid to get involved, and challenge yourself in terms of being able to help solve those problems. Because if when you succeed, you're obviously, it's a great thing for you to be seen to be succeeding, as well as it being very, just trying to think of the right word, but sort of self-satisfying in being involved in solving a difficult problem.
I agree. Yeah. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think being able to put yourself out there a little bit. And again, if you can take those problems on, even though you think they might be really difficult and you can't solve them right now, isn't that our whole space? Like, we're just solving problems. So yeah, I totally agree that kind of, again, stretch yourself a little bit, try to solve it. I mean, worst case scenario, you might have to get some help, but you'll learn a ton.
Yeah, exactly. Mike, where can we find out more about you and connect with you?
Absolutely. So I'm across all the platforms, but the main thing is you can go and check out our podcast as well. It's htmlthings.com, and we have like a podcast section there. It's also available on all the podcast platforms, and you can also find me on Twitter at @HTML everything. So it'll be Mike there with at HTML things, but at HTML everything is my handle there.
Mike, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. It's been great chatting with you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Phil. I really, really appreciate being on.
Hi, Phil here again. Well, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with today's guest. You can find full show notes on the website at itcareerenergizer.com/e and the number of the episode you've been listening to. If you haven't already subscribed to the show, please make sure that you do so that you get episodes automatically downloaded to your device every Monday. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Thanks for listening to the IT Career Energizer podcast. To find out more about building a successful career in IT, visit itcareerenergizer.com.